plan today. I was planning on doing some readings from the original Black Ops script, but I got to wait on something. There's a little something going on that I've got to make sure that I am not causing problems with.
What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and as you guys heard, James C. Burns was going to read the original script for Black Ops 1, but unfortunately didn't get the green light from Activision to do so. You might be wondering, well, why wouldn't they give him the green light to read a script from 2010, literally a decade ago? Why would they restrict him on that? Well, this lines up perfectly with what I've been talking about along with the gaming revolution as of a couple of weeks ago, which is that the new Call of Duty game coming out this fall, unless it gets delayed, will somehow take place in a parallel universe to Black Ops 1. We know for a fact that one of the missions in COD 2020 will play out exactly like one of the missions from Black Ops 1, presumably one of the missions from Vietnam, but the ending of the mission will play out differently. I'm not sure which mission it's going to be. I'm just going to assume it's a Vietnam mission. So from there, we could just assume that things will be retconned and there will be a new storyline established, which is still somehow connected to the original Black Ops universe. So consider COD 2020 a soft reboot at this point, but at the same time taking place in a parallel universe where a new set of characters can enact a new set of events. Now, what I also was talking about as of recently was that the characters of Mason and Woods have been recasted, which as of right now seems like the case, but you also have to remember something that I didn't actually mention in my previous video, which is that the current lines for Mason and Woods could just be placeholder lines, right? James C. Burns could still come to the studio at some point soon and re-record his lines for Woods. And what reminded me of this actually was when I recorded a Zombies video not too long ago. It was actually audio from Black Ops 2 pre-release, and there were Richtofen quotes that were data mined, but they weren't recorded by Nolan North. They were recorded by the sound designer that works over at Treyarch. So it had me thinking, well, what if they did the same thing for the characters of Mason and Woods? What if they just have, pre-recorded placeholder lines for the characters just so they can keep working on the campaign, and they don't plan on bringing the actors to the studio until the pandemic dies down a little bit, right? Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's what's going on. James C. Burns may still be Woods as of right now, but he just hasn't recorded the lines yet. But, maybe he's heard something too. Maybe he was finally told, hey, you can't read that script for Black Ops 1 because it's kind of connected to the story that's going to be going on for our next game. Maybe that's what happened, which is why he was restricted from actually reading the script on stream. Now, as I've also said, if you ever see James C. Burns stop streaming or he just suddenly kind of goes silent about, a number of things, then he's probably been contacted and he'll be recording lines at some point in the future. But it's like I've been saying too, how do you have Woods but not James C. Burns? Because they're literally the same person, right? James C. Burns is Woods, and I just played through Black Ops 1 and 2's campaigns, over the past couple weeks, and it's like, I just don't see how they could replace James C. Burns for the character. And here's the thing too, the game may be connected to the original Black Ops universe, right? In a parallel universe, so to speak, but the actual main story arc of this new game won't be fully focused on those characters, if that makes any sense. Now, we of course have quite a bit from Black Ops 4, which could very easily be tied into this new story going on in Call of Duty 2020. The fact that we're probably going to be seeing a parallel universe or a soft reboot of some sort does get me thinking quite a bit about the story of Blackout, right? The very last specialist story cutscene where Woods tells Mason that he was the one in the box. And I talked about this a number of times on the channel before, but looking at how this could tie into a soft reboot, maybe this parallel universe is what Treyarch was teasing in that last cutscene for specialist stories, right? Where Mason's the one in the box and then Woods kind of becomes the main protagonist along with a new set of characters that we'll see in this new Call of Duty. Maybe that's what Treyarch was actually teasing all the way back in 2018. And they probably were planning that because that was probably the story they wanted to go with for their next Call of Duty. But since they were forced to be put in charge of Call of Duty 2020, instead of Raven and Sledgehammer, they had to kind of take whatever they were planning for their next game and sort of combine that with what Sledgehammer Games and Raven were working on, which coincidentally was also a Vietnam game. So it does work out in the end. That's why I have hope for this game, because story-wise, things are kind of adding up. I'm pretty excited about what they're going to do, and gameplay-wise, we're going to have some of the best in the industry working on multiplayer campaigns, zombies, so I'm excited to see what they end up doing together. Another thing too is, as we've heard right from the Gaming Revolution sources, one of the missions from Black Ops Ops 1 will be in COD 2020, just the ending of that mission will play out differently. Maybe they could also take other missions from maybe even some of the past from Black Ops 2 and also rework that a bit, right? You know, instead of seeing Woods in the box, we'll see Mason in the box. So there's so much that can happen, and considering how much time they have left to make this game, I do see it being reasonable to take missions from back in Black Ops 1 and 2 and essentially remaster them and just have a certain set of events play out a bit differently towards the end of those missions. They could do that with maybe 3 or 4 missions max. You know, you could have maybe 6 original missions and then 4 quote-unquote remasters in a way where we see events from the past take place again, just under different circumstances, maybe with different characters. Now, in regards to a Battle Royale, this is something that was a pretty hot discussion as of yesterday, but I was live streaming and didn't get a chance to make a video about this. It was confirmed that Warzone will constantly be updated even with the release of other Call of Duty games from other developers. Now, whether that means we'll continue to see similar updates like we're seeing now, even when COD 2020 is out, or whether that means, you know, we'll see some type of Treyarch updates in Warzone is up in the air right now. But it wasn't confirmed if we'll see anything Treyarch related in Warzone going forward. It was just confirmed that Warzone will still be updated no matter what. Now, Warzone would not be updated whatsoever once COD 2020 is out if Warzone had flopped. If the numbers weren't there to support Warzone, they definitely wouldn't have supported it when COD 2020 is out. They probably would have maybe brought it back and revamped it once Modern Warfare 2 comes out in 2021. That's what I could think of. Or they could have just scrapped it entirely and just stopped supporting it after, you know, a good amount of time. But considering it's free to play, there's cross-gen gameplay, the numbers are there all across the board, people are buying microtransactions, it is a massive success. So in the Activision investor call tomorrow, I expect to hear quite a bit about Warzone, maybe some more information about live events coming out. But I was also thinking too, right, based on data mining as of recently, the bunker Easter egg could actually be something that's related to maybe COD 2020. You know, I was thinking that, you know, during a live event, we all have to go hide in the bunkers, a nuke will go off in Verdansk, and then when we come out of the bunkers, new areas will be added in. That's just my theory, but maybe it's actually something that's related to COD 2020 of some sort. Maybe a nuke plays a really large role in the next campaign of some sort, and then, you know, in Warzone, we'll see a tease of that somehow, right? So we could very well see teasers for COD 2020 in Warzone, because it's actually smart for business, right? How do you market to the largest audience possible, right? You do it in the free-to-play Call of Duty experience that has so many people playing. So taking the Fortnite approach a little bit and doing a live event, you know, in front of millions of people who'll be streaming, playing, grinding, I think that makes the most sense to market your game. And they've done this before, right? They've marketed Infinite Warfare inside of Black Ops 3, right? Because Black Ops 3 was such a successful Call of Duty. In my opinion, it was probably one of the most successful Call of Duties of all time, if not maybe top 3 in terms of player base, microtransactions, DLC. You know, Zombies Chronicles is considered the top-selling DLC of all time on PlayStation, so the numbers were there for Black Ops 3. So when Infinite Warfare, you know, was first being revealed and they were a bit nervous about it, they're like, well, how do we market it properly? We do it in the most successful Call of Duty game as of right now, which was Black Ops 3. So they're kind of doing a similar thing again, right? How do you market COD 2020 when they're a bit nervous about it, considering Treyarch's leading it after not having the best year of Black Ops 4? You do it in Warzone, where there's potentially some new players who could be interested in it, right? So a lot of potential with how Warzone could work. But another funny thing too is that David Vonderhaar originally wanted to call Blackout Warzone. So maybe that's even a hint that Warzone could get Treyarch style updates in the future, whether it's a new map that fits the Black Ops universe, whether it's a new loot of weapons that are going to be in COD 2020, we just don't know. But I think the future of Warzone is definitely bright, regardless if you like Modern Warfare or not. I think it'll definitely be updated for a number of years if the player base is there. So once Modern Warfare 2 comes out in 2021, that's probably when we'll see a fully fresh, revamped Warzone for that new game, you know, with whatever new weapons and maps that game ends up having. But then that also begs the question, right? Could there be a slot at the main menu for COD 2020 for Warzone, right? Could you have campaign multiplayer zombies and then, you know, to the right of that you see Warzone? Is that possible if Warzone gets updated with some Treyarch things? I think that's definitely possible. I'm looking forward to see how they end up marketing that properly. And it also makes me think, well, if COD 20 doesn't come out in the best state, right? If it's a bit broken or lacking content, maybe Warzone could fill that void a little bit, right? With new content to keep people playing something, right? If the multiplayer doesn't get many updates or Zombies isn't being received well, you'll still have Warzone getting plenty of updates alongside all of that. Now, an Infinity Ward developer did say that Warzone will be the line that connects different Call of Duty sub-franchises, so whether that's canon to the Modern Warfare timeline or not, I think that's really interesting, since we obviously had Captain Price in Blackout. Is that canon to the Blackout universe? I don't think so. Things could definitely just be there for cosmetic purposes, just for gameplay. They don't have to be connected to any story of some sort. So maybe with Warzone, right, we'll see Treyarch stuff in there, but it's not at all connected to what's going on in the Modern Warfare universe and won't affect the campaign of the next Modern Warfare game in 2021. So we'll just have to see how this all plays out. Once again, things were said with Blackout as well that just didn't see the light of day. So if the player base isn't there for Warzone in the next few months, we could expect most of these plans to fall through without a doubt. That is about it. This has been DK Dynamite. Leave all your thoughts down below in the comments about James C. Burns, COD 2020 potentially being connected to Warzone, and what you expect to hear in tomorrow's phone call with Activision's investors. I'll be streaming the Activision investors call here on my channel if nothing goes wrong with the internet, but if something goes wrong where I can't stream, I'll have plenty of video coverage about the phone call. But really excited about that. We're expecting to hear at least something about COD 2020, Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer remastered, and definitely something about Warzone. We really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everyone.
Damn it, no way out. Well, we got him, baby.